to another episode of interviewing cyclists about virtual racing. We'll start with just state your name, age, nationality, and your team.
Okay, name Colleen Gulick. I'm 29 years old from the USA, and I ride for Pickle Juice pro cycling team.
Amazing, Colleen. And when you're not spending your time training or racing your bicycle, what do you like spending your time doing?
Well, I work, so that always is a big time suck. But other than that, just anything active for fun, getting out, doing whatever.
Now, I'm looking here at your rider bio on the Pickle Juice website, and you've got quite a long history with bike racing. So do tell us, how long have you been racing bikes for?
I think this is my 18th year, 18th or 19th. Yeah, so a long time. I did my first track nationals when I was 11. So I consider that the kickoff, if you will. And then from there, it's been, all over the place. Track, road, backed off a little bit through college and then picked it up again after I got out.
Amazing. Yeah, as you've tried every single discipline, it seems. Now, Colleen, just a fun little question I've got is what's one result that stands out to you in your many, many results?
I'm going to say Red Hook, Brooklyn. Winning Red Hook was definitely a big one in my book. And part of that was kind of unexpected because it was only my second real fixed gear race and I didn't really understand the culture yet. And then let alone just winning it. I don't think I understood at the time that was a big deal. And so it was actually the surprise that really stuck with me.
That's amazing. A surprise win is always the most fun win.
Absolutely.
And obviously you're pretty adept racing crits, having won Red Hook, especially on the fixed gear bikes. But Colleen, you've obviously raced track and outdoors on the road bikes as well. So what would you say your strength is as a rider?
I'm definitely more of a sprinter. And all of the pursuit disciplines, things like that, I will leave them to my teammates gladly. The sprint finish is definitely more my style.
For sure, some high power going real fast is your thing. Now, to move more towards virtual racing, obviously there's Zwift that's been around for quite a while, and RGT has been picking up speed in the recent months. What was your introduction to virtual racing?
Actually, I have only done 2 virtual races, and both of them were this year. And I think that was another one that it was totally different, kind of winged it. Luckily, I had Claire and Zoe, my 2 teammates, who are amazing at the virtual racing. They have this stuff down. And so they were gracious enough to share everything that they knew and kind of give me a jump start into it. And they're like, make sure you practice before you do your first race, just the little things, like the fact that you have to get up to speed before the race even starts. I wouldn't have known that if they didn't say something. So the little tricks and kind of giving me some insight, and I still have some room to grow in terms of my virtual racing skills, since this kind of caters more to a time trial population. It's been a good chance for me to work on my weaknesses, but it's definitely not something that I'm naturally good at.
Yeah, so it draws you out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Now, talking about those tips that Claire and Zoe have given you, what's the one tip that made the biggest difference for you?
Good question. I'm going to say just the timing of it. Just them telling me to make sure that it's the first 15 minutes. They're saying get through that and then it will settle, because otherwise I think that I would have tapped out much sooner, being like, oh my gosh, this is what it's going to be like the whole way. I'm never going to make it 2 hours. So their encouragement in terms of just sticking with it and get through that beginning part and then let it settle in. So that was a big help.
Now, let's move towards Cycling BC's virtual BC Cup that's coming up in the next week or so. You yourself will be racing with Pickle Juice on that team. But you've got to have some personal goals when it comes to the series. So what's something you'd like to do in the racing?
Obviously, like you said, I'll have teammates in the race. So since Claire and Zoe are amazing at this virtual thing, I think my goal is just to help them in any way that I can. And just to maybe if I could, be there to bridge a gap or do a lead out or something like that for them would make my day. That's all that I really am looking for in terms of that respect. But I also want to try and gauge my fitness against everybody else. I think that given that everybody's had practically a year off from in real life racing and kind of getting into it is a big unknown as to where everybody else is and kind of where you fit into the mix. So I think this will be a great chance before racing starts to really feel out everybody else and hopefully validate all of your training and hard work.
So using it as a testing ground for real world racing.
Absolutely.
I like it. Now, as you said, you do have some teammates, and the series that we have planned has a couple of different courses. So do you guys have a pretty rigid, fixed structure in terms of how you run your team, where you're the sprinter, Claire's the climber, that kind of thing? Or do you alter your racing for the course?
We definitely alter the racing. And that's part of the beauty of having a smaller team where it's all high caliber riders. And so that's kind of what our team has been doing for years. This will be the 5th year of the team. So what I love about it is we've always had riders that can win on their own. So any chance that we can get to have everybody up towards the front is going to be better for us, better for the team, and better for the sponsors. So that's kind of the beauty of having two really strong teammates. I honestly trust that if I'm having a bad day, I know they're going to be fine.
Amazing. So you're running it as more of a quick step style where it's everybody is a strong rider and you just wait to see what happens out on the race course.
Exactly. React off your first instinct, and then everybody else will fall in line. So as long as you're not actively working against a teammate, which nobody would do, then you're good to go. Everything is headed in the right direction.
Amazing. Yeah, you guys must have some amazing communication skills out there on the courses. Um, and you've named a couple riders. You've obviously named Zoe and Claire as two people who's going to be racing with you out on the race course. But who's some other people we should be looking out for as well?
This year we're just keeping it small. We're literally having a 3-person team, and then we're going to pull in some guest riders. And we have a program that's called a Pickle for a Day program. There's that big U23 gap for women where you're out of juniors, but there's no real U23 racing. So you're kind of just thrown to the wolves. And there's that big learning curve that happens in that time span where you're learning how to race with not only bigger fields, but women who are potentially a decade older than you, who know the course, who are much stronger. So by having this program that we're hoping to help speed up that learning curve for some of these younger riders and really reach their potential as quick as possible.
So you'd say that Pickle Juice has been using virtual racing as an opportunity to foster the next generation in a sense?
Absolutely. And also to identify some really strong riders who we might not have seen otherwise. Some of these riders might be incredibly powerful, but not have that race savvy yet, or that know how to corner or know how to use their strength. So I think this virtual racing will really allow us to see some of those young stars who just need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of guidance, and can explode and broaden their racing scope to not only virtual, but also, some travel, some in real life races.
That's amazing. It's great to hear you guys are doing that. So a couple of other teams I've chatted to have been using virtual racing as a vetting process as well, and it seems to be working really well. So good luck with that. Maybe you'll find some star riders out there in the coming weeks.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Now, last one, fast one. Little less serious of a question for you, Colleen. When there's 400 meters to go, you're super bombed on the playlist. What's the song that should come on and get you across the line?
Oh, great question. Thunderstruck, AC/DC.
Thunderstruck it is. I like it. the edge they have there is incredible. It's
Yeah.
hard to compete. Well, that's basically all the big questions I've got for you today, Colleen. Thanks a lot for chatting me, and we will see you out on the race courses.
That sounds great. Thank you.